Hello and welcome to the Central Television. I am Likon Obanjo. The headlines at this hour. SERAP sues President Tinubu over missing $3.4 billion loan from the IMF. Over 170 persons executed in insurgent attacks on villages in Burkina Faso. Hundreds of Senegalese rally to demand speedy elections. Details to come your way shortly. We now start by telling you that the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has filed a lawsuit against President Bola Tinubu over grave allegations of a missing $3.4 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund intended to support the nation's budget and respond to the COVID-19 crisis. According to SERAP, the allegations stem from the 2020 Nigerian Annual Audited Report by the Auditor-General of the Federation. The suit, filed last Friday at the Federal High Court in Abuja, demands thorough investigation and accountability from the highest office in the land. SERAP's demands are clear and they seek a directive for President Tinubu to probe the disappearance of the IMF loan, ensure the prosecution of those responsible for any mismanagement or diversion, and secure the full recovery of the missing funds. The organization argues that such actions are vital to addressing Nigeria's economic crisis and debt burden. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Labour Congress has told President Bola Tinubu that members of the union are not interested in any political position, including his office. The president, during the inauguration of the Lagos Red Line project on Thursday, threw a jibe at the labour unions, telling them to stop their protests and maintain peace, as they are not the only voice for Nigerians. He told the labour unions to wait for 2027 if they want to participate in the electoral process. But responding in a statement, the NLC president, Joe Ajaero, said they are not interested in Tinubu's position, but are demanding that he implements all the agreements the labour unions reached with the federal government following the removal of fuel subsidy. Earlier, we were joined by a lawyer and political analyst, Taiwo Jumu.
I think it will depend severally on the perspective one is looking at it from, or the side one belongs. For instance, if you look at it from the perspective of Mr. President, you understand the undertone in what he said. Undertone in the sense that you will recall that a few months ago, during the build-up days to the election, the NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress, which ordinarily speaking should be apolitical, publicly endorsed the presidential candidate of the Labour Party and the person of Mr. Peter Obi. And so, if you look at that background, then the support they gave to him, that is perhaps one of the reasons why the president, who is the ruling party, who is a member of the ruling party, feels that whatever comes out from such a body will have some political undertone. That is one part. Then, if you look at it from the other angle too, agreement is agreement. The Nigerian Labour Congress is doing its job because the group is a pressure group, and the pressure group in charge of the welfare of the Nigerian workers. And so the Labour Congress has a very good point in that on 2nd of October 2023, a memorandum was signed. I know it was signed, and an agreement was reached that the federal government would fulfill some palliative measures to cushion the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy.
But I'll tell you that there was pandemonium on March 1 at the Jos Correctional Center when the armed squad fired tear gas and gunshots in the air to quell an uprising by inmates of the center. The developments came after the inmates were said to have protested the news of a reduction in their food rations. News Central's Chizoba Anyanwe tells us more in this report.
It was a calm Friday morning in Jos until sporadic gunshots were heard from the direction of the Jos Correctional Center in Plateau State, north-central Nigeria. Nosing around to find out exactly where it was coming from, it was revealed that the shots and tear gas were fired by the armed squad of the service to calm an uprising from inmates that could obstruct the fragile peace in the state if not contained. Journalists were not allowed into the premises of the service as it wasn't considered safe for them, just as no officer could speak to the press. On insistence, the controller Plateau State Correctional Service, who spoke off camera, confirmed the incident.
With the contractors who used to feed them this match, called and said that the rate things are expensive in the market, may not be able to cope with their feeding. So he now called him to his office yesterday and they sat down and said, okay, that the only way he can cope is that because they eat rice 4 times a week, beans 3 times. Then the only way he can cope is if they can reduce their rice consumption to twice a week so that we replace it with either gari or any other food stuff. So that I say because what they are buying rice before, the market has more than double.
It may not be difficult to connect the reaction of the inmates to the news of the reduction in ration and the protests taking place in some parts of the country over the hardship occasioned by the rising cost of living. But whether or not the inmates were right or wrong in their actions may become a topic for public debate.
What if they said there won't be food? What happens? But they're telling them that we are going to give you food, but the amount and the content at which we were giving you before has been reduced. So they should consider with the government as well.
Think about the children in school. Think about so many people. Then these people shouldn't be forgotten. So I expected federal government to know what to do about them. The inmates are actually suffering.
It is only what they are given that they can eat. They don't have any other means they can get something to eat except what they are given. So what I'm suggesting is that government should do something about the economy of the country.
In the meantime, the situation has been brought under control, just as people are going about their lawful businesses. In Jos for News Central, I am Chizoba Anyowi.
Away from that, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has kicked off his official engagement of a 2-day state visit to the state of Qatar with a visit to the museum in Doha. President Tinubu, speaking on the significance of the museum, stated that it is great to document culture from the beginning of history, the culture of civilization, collaborations, challenges, and perseverance of leadership.
It's marvelous. It's detailed, well-detailed statement of history, culture, and growth, and economic opportunity. And it is great to document this kind of culture from beginning of history, the beginning of civilization, the collaboration, the challenges, and the perseverance of leadership. Well, we still have a long way to go. That's all I need to say.
Thank you very much.
For now.
Thank you very much, Excellency.
I'm glad I'm here. It is a great honor. You learn every day of your life. And you see the beginning of nationalism, patriotism, and various challenges along the way. You learn as you go on. Thank you very much.
Is currently
Governor of Borno State, who is on the president's entourage to Doha, and other ministers who spoke to journalists, expressed deep appreciation to their host for providing the opportunities to engage with the Qatar investors and look forward to a rewarding experience. Those at the meeting aimed at mapping strategies for engaging with the hosts included the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, the Solid Minerals Development Minister, Dele Alake, among others.
Is currently building an orphanage in Maiduguri, building schools and others in Maiduguri, while they are also constructing thousands of homes in northern Nigeria, especially I think in Sokoto and in Kaduna. Their main objective is to assist the displaced communities in Nigeria, especially the downtrodden community. We want to convey our deep appreciation to the Qatari Charity Foundation. This morning also we have been to the Qatari Foundation, which is a bigger umbrella than the Qatari Charity. So we believe with the presence of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, this organization will provide some support to the government of Nigeria, both at the national and sub-nationals, because the main objectives of the initiatives of Qatari foundations are geared towards enhancing education, science, and research, and community development.
Looking at other stories now, the Nigerian Navy ship Beecroft Operation Delta Sanity has arrested a Ghana-owned motor tanker called Sweet Mary involved in suspected crude oil theft. The vessel was arrested at 174 nautical miles off the coast of Nigeria, approximately 320 kilometers heading to Benin Republic. According to a statement by the NNS Base Information Officer, Lieutenant H. Ibrahim, the motor tanker Swift Mary vessel had 13 crew, 1 Ghanaian and 12 Nigerians on board at the time of arrest. The flag officer commanding Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral M.B. Hassan, was quoted in the statement as saying that the vessel was carrying about 2 million liters of the suspected product without approval and had switched off its automatic identification system to avoid detection on February 25, 2024. Now, the Nigerian Immigration Service has been tasked to ensure adequate measures are put in place to protect the nation's borders. This was during the decoration of the newly appointed Comptroller General of the service in Abuja, where she was tasked to reposition the service for greater service delivery. Amadin Uyi reports.
It was a decoration ceremony of a new Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service. In attendance were senior officials of the service and representatives of sister security agencies. The new Comptroller was tasked to reposition the service and improve on its effectiveness.
Today, you start your new role, and we expect a lot of commitment and sustaining the strides made in the immigration services so far. You were chosen based on merit. You have worked hard for it.
Whom much is given, we want you to please also be a team player. Be a team player. God has given you your eyes. I always say this at every point in time. God had a choice of giving us eyes at the back, but He decided to give us because He wants you to look forward. This is not the time to remember the ills of anybody. This is the time for you to know that you are only as strong as the weakest person in your service. Bring everybody together.
She was also tasked to be considerate in her decision-making process and work with all staff of the service.
In your decision-making process, I beg you, always understand the diversity of our nation.
The minister also tasked the new Comptroller on border security.
I will not judge you by virtue of your performance in passport administration. Take my word for it. That's a done deal by the grace of God. But I will judge you by how well you protect my border. Because the safety of Nigeria depends on how well we can secure our border.
As I step into this role, I want to first assure our fellow Nigerians that I am fully prepared and committed to serving our nation with utmost dedication and integrity. To that end, and under the guiding principles of the renewed hope agenda set forth by His Excellency President Tinubu's administration, we will strive towards unity, growth, and development.
The new Comptroller General assumes her role as the 19th Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
A 27-year-old man, Chinalo Odonna, is now in the custody of the Abia State Police Command over the alleged murder of his 57-year-old father. The young man was said to have escaped from the hospital where he was taken for treatment by his father after he manifested a strange behavior on Sunday, returned home only to allegedly strangle his father to death. News Central's Chinwe Ogele tells us more.
While some citizens were on Tuesday protesting the harsh economic conditions in the country, others decided to follow a dangerous path to economic advancement. The quiet community of Umuwaya Amuzuku in Umuahia North Local Government area of Abia State was thrown into commotion on that fateful day over the alleged strangling of Mr. Maduka Obunna, a tenant from Umuehihe Amoda Isuchi in Umunochi Local Government area of Abia State by his only son Chinalo. Neighbors gave account of the unfortunate incident.
Some days before then, the boy was behaving like a mad somebody, like a madman. So on Monday, the boy is like he's pursuing his father inside on Monday.
On Monday, ya kpọrọ nwa ya ha gawazie FMC. Ha gawa FMC at no ruo na FMC ebe and the boy ahapụ ha gba ọsọ gbalata n'ime ya ada. Papi esoro kwe lọtakwa na akpọgharị ya na ebe ọ bụ na ọ gara. Ihe ọ nọ na-asị m papi ya, confess, confess. You are a bad man. Confess. Go to church. Confess.
The various accounts confirmed that the deceased's love for Chinalo caused his untimely death.
Bawara ya mba, inwe ike bacha mba. Bawa daddy ya, papi ya bịa, complain ya to papa ya. Papi ya abawakwara gị.
Be running, walking up and down, threatening people, that kind of thing.
Chinalo's grieving stepmother, Joy Ubunna, said she would have been the victim if she had failed to move out of the house 2 years ago.
I'm not happy. I am crying because I did not expect that. I take this child to hospital, that when he acted like a madman. I took him to hospital, to the FMC. He ran away.
The police public relations officer, Maureen Chinaka, said the police are investigating the crime, while the suspect will soon be charged to court.
Investigation revealed that he said he intentionally harmed his father. Actually, he killed his father so he could use his father's left eyes for mortuary purposes, for ritual purposes rather. So we are investigating and will charge to court.
The police will also be investigating an earlier incident where a man from the same Isuchi in Umunochi local government area of Abia State also allegedly shot dead his son for consuming the only cooked food in the home. In Umuahia News Central, Chinwe Ugili.
You're watching News Central now. We now go on a short break. We'll be back with more stories. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, drama in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory as the Nigeria police has finally apprehended a female lawyer who has been accused of burning several parts of the body of a minor with hot iron, including the private part, over claims of sexually abusing the son. The suspect, who was paraded at the Ministry of Women Affairs in Abuja, was initially on the run with a 2 million naira bounty placed on her head. Nigeria's Minister of Women Affairs assured citizens that she will face the full weight of the law. Amadine Uyi reports.
The case has sparked national uproar following reports on social media. The suspect, a female lawyer resident in Onitsha, had accused her maid of abusing her son, and following efforts to discipline her, burned several parts of her body, placing a hot knife and pepper into her private parts before tying her up without food for over a day. Nigeria's Minister of Women Affairs had placed a 2 million naira bounty on her head after she took to her heels.
We no go agree again. You tamper with any child, we tamper with any woman, you will see action, legal action, any kind of action you need. You will see it.
She dropped the young girl with her aunt
you know, without clothes, with the burns on the cheek, with the burns on the buttocks, and with blood and water oozing out of the private part. The aunt raised an alarm, and the alarm attracted passers-by who brought out their phones. We know what Nigerians do with the phones, and they started recording and videoing and taking pictures, and this went straight to the social space.
The Minister of Women Affairs, while parading the suspect at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja, says that she will not escape the law. The suspect, however, denied the allegations, saying the burns and others on the victim were not intentional, but acquired mistakenly when being disciplined for sexually abusing her son.
This is the lady you asked for. We have brought her, and we are assuring you that till we get justice for that girl, till we get justice for the nation, we will not let go. Before she was brought, we've already gone to court with the police, and all her bank accounts are blocked. She can't access her money, and she won't access it until such a time, because that is what was giving her money she was using to keep this case down all this while before the bounty was announced. So let me see where she gets the money from.
She entered with her because she was running away from King, and she mistakenly sat on the gas of food on fire. That was what happened to her. The blade got to her skin. The blade of the gas.
The minister and the police are assuring that the suspect will be charged to court, and there will be justice for the victim. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
To health matters now, as the world gears up to celebrate International Women's Day. Latest market intelligence reports into investments in African health tech shows an encouraging investment trend in women-led health tech companies, which secured $52 million in funding. That is 31% of total investment, a 2,000% year-on-year increase compared to the $2 million invested in 2022. Rwanda's Kasha got $21 million, Egypt's Dawi Clinics $8 million, and Chefa $5.3 million, and East Africa's Meisha Meds got $5.25 million, which led the charge, collectively accounting for 75% of the total funding raised by women founders in 2023 and illustrating the growing power of women-led startups in African health tech. However, despite the surge in funding for women-led tech companies, key questions such as sustainability, amongst many others, remain. Will this dramatic shift hold steady, or is it a temporary bubble? At this point, Nigeria ranks a lowly 139 out of 156 countries in the World Economic Forum's Gender Gap Index, and many, especially women, have raised concerns that the country may be regressing in female representation in leadership. Bridging this gap as part of the reasons March is designated the month for gender equality by the Sustainable Development Goal Initiative. News Central's Omolola Ololade tells us more in this report.
According to the United Nations, 1 out of every 3 women experience physical, sexual, or intimate partner violence, and 1 in every 10 married Nigerian women report experiencing sexual violence in a lifetime. Nigeria recorded 27,698 cases of sexual violence between 2020 and 2023 alone, according to the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs. The increase in the number of sexual and gender-based violence cases is becoming alarming, a situation experts say can be attributed to several cultural norms in the country.
We found that 55% of all the killings affecting women and girls are happening essentially at the hand of a family member or an intimate partner. Now, 55% that is for women and girls. For men, it's only 12%. So the home is not a safe haven for women and girls. And we need to be very honest with ourselves. That is the result of thousands of years of probably to some extent misled cultural developments that we need now to rectify slowly.
Cultural norms and practices in Nigeria are factors responsible for a large number of issues, especially regarding women and girl children. Nigeria ranks the lowest, coming 54th, with 5.45% female representation, while Rwanda ranks first with 47.95%. From 1999 till date, only 157 women have been elected into the 469-member National Assembly, 38 senators and 119 members of the House of Representatives, compared to 2,657 men, 616 senators, and 2,041 representatives during this same period. Nigerian female politicians therefore talk about the challenges as well as the way forward.
That if you are a woman into business or an entrepreneurship, you are more likely to make policies that would support this group of people, because that's the area you know and an area you're familiar with. And so when we're talking about making changes and bringing more people on the table, we are advocating that you bring a variety of people on the table so that they will also influence policies and create impact in their various spheres of life, rather than making a particular sector.
While representation of women in politics and decision-making is crucial to the nation's development, more important is the education of the girl child across the 6 geopolitical zones. Nigeria has a record of 18.5 million out-of-school children, out of which 10 million are girls, according to UNICEF.
Then the issue of culture and then tradition comes to play. Most of the times they are thinking, okay, when she's 18 years, the highest I can do is to give her out to in marriage. And with this, why will she even go to school now? Because when she get married, the essence of education is defeated. They are not looking at the education as a means to empower her to take good care of herself as a person.
In Nigeria, another major issue that stands as a threat to the education of the girl child is early child marriage, particularly in the northern part of the country. Many of these girls find their education cut off, that is if they had any access to an education in the first place. Despite the prevalence of child marriage among some sections of the country, child marriage remains illegal in Nigeria.
Child marriage causes social isolation, gender inequalities, and it also launches a girl on a cycle of poverty. I'm calling on our government, though they are trying their best, but I want them to fully implement the Child Rights Act, because it's a law that actually protects the rights of children in general. So I feel it's a great one, and it will help to protect girls from being married at an early age.
Sadly, the female gender in Nigeria seems to experience a gender inequality in different aspects of her life. The cultural norm in eastern Nigeria deprives a woman of a husband or father's inheritance. Although the Supreme Court's judgment grants an inheritance to the girl child in Igbo land, putting an end to a culture that has held the society together as patriarchal, some women still suffer this discriminatory act.
We can also look at how we can strengthen our legal aid services, that is strengthening legal services to assist women who are facing discrimination and challenges in claiming their inheritance. We can also look at engaging further with community members through community dialogues, that is intergenerational dialogues, where you bring different age groups in the communities to come together to discuss misunderstandings, misconception, and stereotypes that may limit women and girls from enforcing their right to inherit properties.
While the Nigerian Constitution provides for gender equality and non-discrimination, women continue to suffer injustices and marginalization as a result of discriminatory laws, religious and cultural norms, gender stereotypes, and low levels of education, among others. The hope of the Sustainable Development Goal is that in the month of March, countries where gender inequality thrives, which includes Nigeria, should pay attention to laws and policies that would help dismantle these barriers and pave the way for women to thrive in the society. In Lagos, for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
You're watching News Central now. Coming up, Over 170 persons executed in insurgent attacks on villages in Burkina Faso. We will bring you details after this short break. Join us again. The news continues in West Africa, where a regional prosecutor says around 170 people were executed in attacks on 3 villages in northern Burkina Faso. The attacks by unknown assailants were carried out on the villages of Kumsilga, Nodin, and Soro in the Yatenga province. According to a statement on Sunday, the incident happened a week ago, adding that an investigation had been launched. The West African Sahel nation has been struggling to contain violent Islamist insurgencies linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State that have spread from neighboring Mali over the past decade, killing thousands and displacing more than 2 million. We also tell you that several hundreds of people rallied in the Senegalese capital, Dakar, on Saturday, calling for the country's postponed presidential elections to be held before April 2, the date when incumbent Macky Sall's term is set to end. The protesters gathered at a sandy lot in a working-class neighborhood for the protest called by the Resistance Front, an alliance of opposition parties and campaigning groups. A national dialogue organized at the start of the week by the president, but boycotted by the opposition, had recommended holding the elections on June 2. Sall indicated that it would ask the Constitutional Council for its opinion on the request.
On espère que la situation va s'arranger par le Conseil constitutionnel, parce que c'est elle qui a le droit de rétablir cette forfaiture organisée par le président Macky Sall. Oui, on écoute le Conseil constitutionnel, mais en attendant, on va manifester, on va parler, on va se mettre debout, on va crier pour que Macky Sall rétablisse nos élections au Sénégal ici. Pour qu'on quitte cette dictature, nous ne sommes pas en dictature.
Et nous demandons le président Macky Sall de quitter le pouvoir et qu'il organise des élections transparentes. Voilà, c'est ça qu'on veut. Avant le 2 avril, nous voulons des élections et nous demandons la libération de notre candidat Bassirou Diomaye Faye ainsi que de notre président Ousmane Sonko. C'est ça que nous voulons. Moi, là, de ce que je vous parle, je ne vais jamais laisser. J'irai jusqu'au bout. Parce que c'est ça qu'on nous avait appris. On ne va jamais laisser. On va combattre jusqu'à donner nos vies. Parce que dans cette vie-là, soit on vit, soit on meurt. C'est ça qui nous retient ici. Autant mourir pour la bonne cause. Et mourir pour la bonne cause, alhamdulillah.
In Central Africa, Chad junta chief Mahamat Idris Deby Itno on Saturday said he would contest a May 6 presidential election just 3 days after his chief rival was killed in murky circumstances. Deby Itno took power in 2021 after his father, veteran leader Idris Deby Itno, died while fighting rebels. The iron-fisted ruler had led the Sahel country for more than 3 decades. Deby Itno had been proclaimed transitional president by the junta and had promised a return to civilian rule and elections within 18 months. But he subsequently extended the transition by 2 years. The date for the presidential elections was announced on Tuesday, barely 2 months before the vote. Deby Itno was almost certain to win, given that his main challenger has been assassinated and the opposition has been muzzled and repressed. A bit on the Israel-Gaza war, delegations from Hamas, Qatar, and the United States have arrived in Egypt for a new round of negotiations towards a truce in the Gaza war. Cairo, Doha, and Washington have mediated in weeks of talks aiming to pause the fighting in the almost 5-month-old war between Israel and Hamas, sparked by the October 7 attacks. Their goal has been to secure a truce by the start of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan next week, but hopes have been dampened by a series of failed talks. The negotiations have centered on a proposal to pause the fighting for 6 weeks and for Hamas to free hostages in return for the release of Palestinian prisoners from Israeli jails and greater aid deliveries. And now we would like to warn our viewers that this next story might be sensitive as it contains dead bodies. As the war in Gaza rages on, a set of 6-month-old twins have become the latest victims of an overnight Israeli strike. Their mother, Rania Abu Anza, who survived the attack, had to undergo several intrauterine insemination processes twice before conceiving the twins. She weeps profusely while holding her babies.
نايمين والله فجأة الساعة 11:30 حسيت أنا حالي برميل مي طايحة. ولادي جنبي بقول ولادي يوم نجوا الشباب قالوا لا سامعين كلها سامعكم طب دوروا لأولاد طلعونا قالوا ولادك خلاص. أنا زرعوا 3 بس ظلهم مش إلا 2. أيوة مين يقول لي ماما؟ مين يقول ماما؟ مين يقول ماما الحين؟ مين يقول لي ماما؟ مين يقول لي ماما؟ قولوا لي مين يقول ماما؟
وش بعد 10 سنين؟
أجوا بعد 10 سنين محاولات زراعة مرتين وتنقيح وروح على الدكتور وتعال والحمد لله زرعتهم الحمد لله يا رب. السنة اللي فاتت في الشتاء بعد زراعة.
And away from that to Pakistan, the country's legislators have elected Shehbaz Sharif as the country's prime minister for a second term following a controversial election last month. The South Asian country voted on February 8 in a vote marred by allegations of large-scale rigging and delayed results. On Sunday, the National Assembly, as the lower house of parliament is called, met to elect the premier. Shehbaz secured 201 votes in the 336-member National Assembly, comfortably prevailing over rival Omar Ayub Khan, who won 92. The winner needed at least 169 votes.
Republic of Pakistan. I request Mia Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif Saab to take the seat of the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
In business, leaders at the Gas Exporting Countries Forum Summit held in the Algerian capital have unanimously adopted the Algiers Declaration, which condemns unilateral economic sanctions. According to the GECF Secretary General, member countries reiterated the condemnation of all unilateral economic restrictions undertaken without the prior approval of the United Nations Security Council.
Countries reiterate their condemnation of all unilateral economic restrictions undertaken without the prior approval of the United Nations Security Council, and any extraterritorial application of national laws and regulations against GECF member countries that negatively impact.
لابد حماية كل المنشآت الطاقوية عبر العالم لأنها مهمة جدا. في منشآت عابرة للحدود، هذه المنشآت التي أشرنا إليها في إعلان الجزائر. أول مرة نريد أن نبعث رسالة قوية لحماية المنشآت الطاقوية.
In sports, Kenyan Benson Kipruto set a new course record in the men's Tokyo Marathon on Sunday, finishing in 2 hours, 2 minutes and 16 seconds. It broke the previous record held by former world record holder Eliud Kipchoge in perfect racing conditions on the streets of Japanese capital. Kipruto outpaced Timothy Kaplagat in the final kilometers to win the Tokyo title, finishing 39 seconds ahead of his compatriots. This victory adds to his numerous wins. However, in the women's race, Ethiopia's Sutume Asefa Kebede finished first, clocking 2 hours, 15 minutes and 55 seconds. She beat Kenya's defending champion Rosemary Wanjiru and also set a new women's course record from Shinjuku to the Imperial Palace.
Con lo que te queda, sino que das todavía un poco más. Es extraordinario. Lo que es la motivación de ver la llegada, ¿no?
Now, Burkina Faso's Youssou Fabrice Zango clinched gold on Saturday in the triple jump event at the World Indoor Athletics Championship in Glasgow. Zango's leap of 17.53 meters surpassed a strong opening effort by Algeria's Yassar Mohamed Triki. At first attempt, it recorded a 16.69 meter leap, despite Mohamed Triki's 17.35 meter jump. In the second round, Zango responded with a 17.33 meter jump, then went on to clinch gold with a 17.53 meter jump on his fifth attempt, adding a World Indoor Championship gold to his medal haul of an Olympic bronze medal and World Athletics Championship silver.
He just has a habit of delivering exactly when he needs to. He's gone through the range of global colours in the last few years. Olympic bronze in 21.
I won with the fifth jump also. So for me, I'm like a diesel. I just go, I build my event, I just build my competition step by step. With my first jump, I jumped like 1669. It was not great, but I took some information. For my second jump, I took some information. So I built my competition. Then I knew that at fifth and sixth jump, I will be able to do something, you know, because we are not the same. Our body is not the same like in every competition. We have to be clever, to analyze what we are doing, and then to...
Now, Lakers power forward LeBron James became the first NBA player to reach 40,000 career regular season points the weekend game against the Denver Nuggets. James scored the historic basket with 10 minutes and 39 seconds remaining in the second quarter with a driving layup from the left side of the basket to give the Lakers a 37-32 lead. Despite this historic moment, the Lakers fell to a 124-114 loss to the defending NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets. James became the NBA's all-time leading scorer in February 2023, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's long-standing record of 38,387 points. He's currently a four-time NBA champion, four-time most valuable player in his 21st season as the league's oldest active player.
Drive, spins, gets inside. It's good. It's 40,000 for LeBron James, the NBA's all-time leading scorer, with another milestone as the legend of LeBron continues to grow.
I mean, it's definitely special when I looked up there in the stands and seen her sitting up there, and you know, when the 40,000 point mark hit, definitely looked up there at my wife and looked at my daughter and my mom, and my daughter was just clapping and, you know, like pumping her arms up in the air. So that was a super cool moment. Blew her a kiss, she blew one back to me. So that's super cool for sure.
That's all at this hour. But before we go, we'll quickly take a look at our top stories again. SERAP sues President Tinubu over missing $3.4 billion loan from IMF. Over 170 persons have been executed in insurgent attacks on villages in Burkina Faso. Finally, we told you that hundreds have rallied in Senegal demanding speedy elections. Do send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number and email on your screen, and you can follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.